Can you take a small business with no fancy website, no ad budget, not a single backlink, and rank it number one on Google Maps using nothing but a free Google listing? That's the question. And the honest answer is going to annoy a few people in my own industry. So here's what usually happens. Some guy online tells you just optimize your Google business profile and you'll dominate your city. And then an agency tells you it's impossible without a big monthly retainer. And both of them are wrong. I dug into the actual 2026 ranking data, the stuff the experts measure every single year, and I'm going to show you exactly how far your Google business profile alone can take you, where it's going to slam into a wall at a dead stop, and then the specific moves that actually push you up the map. And if this is your first time watching my videos, I'm Adrian Newman and I run a small digital marketing agency in Toronto. And I post videos every week on how small and mid-sized businesses can help get more exposure on Google, on AI, and in the local map pack. Okay, first, let's set the rules, because can a Google business profile get you to number one is a sloppy question unless you pin it down. So here's the experiment. I want you to picture a business with a bare bones, one-page website. There's no blog, there's no ads, there's no link building, nothing an SEO agency would charge you a retainer for. The only thing we're allowed to touch is the Google Business Profile, or GBP. That's that free listing that shows up in Google Maps and in that little block of 3 businesses at the top of a local search. If you've ever searched for something like plumber near me and seen those 3 companies with star ratings and a map, that block is what we're playing for. The industry calls it the local map pack. The question, though, is simple. With only that free tool, the GBP, how high can a business climb? Can they get in the top 3? Can they get to number 1? Or does it hit a ceiling? So let's look at what actually decides the winner. So every year, a company called Whitespark surveys the top local SEO experts in the world and asks them to score what actually moves local rankings. The 2026 edition pulled in 47 experts, rating 187 different factors. It's the closest thing our industry has to a scoreboard. And here's what it says, and this is basically the whole game in one breath. Proximity to the searcher is around 55% of the local ranking decision. Google Business Profile signals are around 32%. That's the biggest factor you can control. And 8 of the top 10 local pack factors come straight from your GBP. So the single biggest factor in who ranks is proximity. How physically close the searcher is to your business. That's roughly 55% of the decision. And here's the catch. You don't control that. You can't move your shop into everyone's backyard. So right away, we found the ceiling. If someone is standing 2 blocks from your competitor and 10 kilometers from you, geography wins the search. Anyone who promises you guaranteed number 1 everywhere is selling you nothing. Tune them out. But here's where it does get interesting. If you take proximity out of it and you look at everything you can control, the number 1 lever by a mile is your Google Business Profile. Whitespark puts it at about 32% of the ranking weight, and that's the largest controllable factor there is. Reviews are going to come next, then what's on your website, then links. And this is the part that makes today's experiment actually work. 8 of the top 10 local pack factors come directly from your Google Business Profile. That's 8 out of 10 from a free tool. So the honest framing is this. Proximity sets the stage, but among the things you can actually influence and control, your GBP is the star of the show, which means our experiment isn't crazy at all. It's pointed straight to the highest leverage free asset that you've got. Now, if I stop there, this would be a video I could have made 3 years ago, but something big changed and it makes your GBP more valuable in 2026. And those are the AI answers. You've probably seen them. You search something and Google drops an AI written summary at the top before any of the normal results. Google now has a full AI mode too, and at their big developer conference in May, they said it passed 1 billion monthly users and merged it right into regular search. In fact, it's the default. And here's why it matters for you. When Google AI answers a local question, where does it get its facts? Well, your star rating, your review count, your hours, your services, your service area. It pulls them from your GBP. Your listing isn't just feeding the map anymore. It's feeding the machine that's increasingly answering for you. And people are leaning on it hard. A year ago, about 6% of consumers used AI tools to find a local business. In the 2026 survey, that jumped to 45% in a single year. So think about what that means for the experiment. The free tool we're testing doesn't just decide if you show up in the map pack. It increasingly decides whether the AI mentions you at all. One asset feeding 2 front doors. That's a bigger deal than most business owners have clued into yet. Okay, so we know GBP is the lever. So what do you actually pull? And I'm going to give you a handful of things the data says will move the needle. And then I'm going to call out 2 popular tricks that are a total waste of time. Okay, so first, your primary category. This is the most important setting in the entire profile, full stop. Google uses it to decide which searches you're even allowed to show up for. So you need to get specific. So, for example, if you're a personal injury lawyer and your category just says lawyer, well, you're going to be invisible for the searches that actually matter. So pick the most exact category that describes what you do. Then you're going to add secondary categories for everything else you offer. Okay, so 2 is reviews, but not the way most people think. It's not about having the biggest pile of reviews. It's about velocity and recency. So a steady drip of fresh reviews beats a big number sitting there from 2 years ago. One of the survey's own leaders now ranks review recency in his personal top 5. So you need to build this simple habit. Every finished job you ask with a direct link for a review. And then when you get that review, respond to it, whether it's good or bad. That response is a ranking signal as well, and it's one real people actually read before they call you. Okay, third, and this one surprises a lot of people, and it's being open, your actual business hours. So in 2026, being open at the moment someone searches became a top 5 local pack factor. If a customer searches at 6 p.m. and you're listed as closed, you can get pushed down for that search. So set your real hours, set your holiday hours, and if you do take calls late, put that in there. Say so. And fourth is activity. That's including fresh photos and posting the occasional update to your profile. Google leans towards businesses that look alive and real photos of your team and your work, your vehicles. You can post a quick update now and then. What that does is it signals that you're a real active business, and it quietly builds trust with anyone who lands on your profile. Okay, now I said this before. So there are 2 things that a lot of people swear by that controlled studies have quietly debunked. So the first is geotagging your photos. So that's editing hidden location data into your images to tell Google where you are. And I'm going to tell you, doesn't work. It's been tested, it's been debunked. So forget about that. And the second one is stuffing your city and keywords into your Google post to rank higher. That's also been debunked because the post signals activity and it turns browsers into callers, not because you think you're gaming a keyword. So being genuinely open and genuinely reviewed beats both of those tricks every single time. Okay, so back to our experiment. With just those moves, a business that's reasonably close to its customers can absolutely land in the top 3. And yes, hit number 1 for a lot of nearby searches. I've watched plain no frills companies outrank like massive big businesses on their GBP work alone. But Here's the ceiling I talked about. GBP alone runs out of road in a few situations. First, if you're in a crowded big city market where there are like 10 strong competitors that are all equally close, the tiebreakers move to the stuff your GBP doesn't cover. And that's your website, which the data pegs at around 19% and links and mentions from around the web around 15%. So in those markets, the businesses that actually break away have a real page for their city and their service, and they get talked about on other sites. And that's the same story of your service business, covering a wide area instead of one storefront. Proximity actually works against you, so you have to lean harder on those website and reputation signals to compete outside your own neighborhood. So the honest verdict on the experiment is this. Can you rank number one with only your Google business profile? Well, for a lot of local businesses that are close to their customers, yes. It's the fastest, cheapest path to the top of the map. And most of your competitors are probably doing it badly, so that's your opening to get on it. But the only GBP model has a ceiling. You need to treat it as the foundation of your build first, not the whole house. So here's what I would do if I were you. First, fix your primary category and list every service you offer in specific plain language. Second, set a real review habit. You need to ask after every job with a direct link and reply to every review that comes in, good or bad. And third, check your hours are actually accurate. You need to add some real photos. I would do maybe 10 new photos every month and post at least one update a week. And really that's it. That's the experiment to run on your own business. Give it 60 days and then tell me what happens with the map. So if this cleared things up a bit for you, please hit subscribe. I put out plain English marketing stuff for business owners every single week. I try not to use any kind of jargon or any kind of hype. I try to keep it as simple as possible for a small to mid-sized business owner to totally understand. And if you want some more information about what I do and how I can help you with your specific Google business profile, with your specific website, and anything else with regards to getting on the AI overviews, my contact info is in the description. Oh, and getting back to reviews for a second, a lot of reviews, if you didn't know this, were recently purged by Google, even though they were legitimate. So I explain why that happened and how you can prevent it from happening to you in this video. It could be the most important 10 minutes of your day today. I'll see you there.